welcome back to another episode of Scryer's Room. I am your host, Famfare.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Mario.
Yeah, he's Mario.
Yep, and we got Brody back for another episode, and today we're going to be talking about how good of a DM he is.
Oh,
He's been real, like, this has been like curative and informative for me to be DM'd by you. You're very good, and I have a lot of fun, and I want you to know that we like it.
It's a good time.
It's a great
time.
That ends the portion of emotional clarity for Kevin. So
okay. A lot of it I stole.
good.
That's the best way.
That's just what creativity is. Just putting
last
things
DM
together.
I had was like towards the beginning of 5e, and it's like I just wanted like try can't because he like knew all the 3.5 rules. Like a lawyer and just knows everything. And it's very crunchy. Like we're doing this by the book.
That's a special breed.
We're going to argue and figure out the rules for this.
Oh man,
Although
a lawyer
will,
DM.
Yeah, he just wins.
I love that. Apple of my own eye.
Like even like some of the setting stuff, like his was like the Fallen Lands of Arcathia.
What a coincidence!
What a coincidence!
Yeah, I just swapped the R and the K and just called it. Yeah. This is mine now.
This is mine now.
His wasn't elf themed. It was like a human kingdom. But still, kind of, even the name King's Crossroads, because I found that's such a good generic,
that really is.
That's
generic town name.
Yeah.
It makes me happier that that's also stolen because I was going to steal that, and because it's just such a good.
Yeah, it's like
everything
everywhere has a crossroads town. That's where towns would pop up.
Yeah.
Whenever I think about the stealing and mutual theft that we do with each other as DMs, as players, as creatives, where we write things, I just think of the song from South Park where Mr. Hanky is like explaining the circle of life to his son, where it's
the circle of poo.
Yeah, the circle of poo. I'm the poo of the antelope.
even down to Copperton and the Copper Halls. He had that in his as like a bigger town to the south with like a dwarven halls you can explore. His wasn't filled with like ancient dwarf traps of like
and the demon gorillas.
His was kind of just like normal dwarven halls. I filled it with the whole.
I bet his guys didn't fuck it up completely like we did.
No, we didn't. We navigated it perfectly.
Yeah,
we were like a
did.
military unit in that campaign because we knew he knew the rules well enough. We had to learn them, and we did combat efficient. We were to the point. We knew what we were doing.
We're rocking more of a Scooby-Doo with everyone has knives approach. Where some of us get spooked and we plan to do different things, and otherwise it's just whoever's knife is closest.
Yeah, and I think if you're DMing, just steal. Just blatantly steal.
Yeah.
Like, unless it's like a paid thing where copyright matters, just steal. Don't be creative.
I mean,
you'll be more creative by stealing.
I'm a professional writer technically. I would say, like, for any creative thing, like, most people don't realize what creativity is because they think it's coming up with a full and complete thing out of your head. And everything that we think of is just a recombination of things that we've already seen. That's how brains work. It's then you add another connection that isn't that same thing again, that changes it intrinsically, and then from there, you can make something that hasn't existed before. But it's combination and recombination. That's why every story essentially boils down to, like, and then there was this guy. That's the first idea that anybody even has. There's a guy. There are guys. And everything is recombination after that. And eventually, we get to the point where, yeah, just steal. If what puts you in the mood to do a creative thing is you're like, I really want to write, not necessarily Harry Potter, but like a magical school thing similar to Harry Potter, fucking do that thing. Don't worry about being stealing or being stolen from. As somebody who has written at least like I have like 20 different universe things that I've made, you won't run out of ideas. You don't need to worry about like losing things. You won't run out.
A great example of just steal is Mashal is just Harry Potter but a gag.
Yeah, it's Harry Potter if One Punch Man went to Hogwarts.
Yeah, that's just Mashal. Like that's it. Just the entire.
They even do the plot of like Chamber of Secrets and the which one? The Goblet of Fire, the games. They just do those plots, And it's a completely different thing. You know why? Because combining two, like, even slightly different things, and then you doing it, will make it a new and different thing.
Yeah, like in Mistborn, even Brando Sando describes, the plot with Vin being My Fair Lady.
Yeah. It's My Fair Lady with Magnetos.
And The Lion King is just Hamlet.
Yeah.
Like...
Exactly.
A lot of things are just Hamlet.
Yeah, a lot of things are just Hamlet, yeah.
Yeah.
Hamlet is that they keep making Hamlet.
It goes down smooth. It's one of the classic stories.
Yeah.
Boy meets girl, middle.
Kill my uncle.
Kill your uncle.
Yeah.
Someone poisoned someone in the ear. I don't know a lot about historical poisons, but they're a lot more versatile than I thought. I was under the impression most poisons were either like shoot him with a dart or get him to drink an evil soup. But no, people are poisoning blankets and shit. That's how Prince of Persia starts.
Really?
The Emperor King, I don't know. The King Poobah is poisoned by a blanket that's put on his shoulders. And he just starts like sizzling, like acid hits him and he's dead.
Jesus.
And
I didn't know that.
I don't even know how he would go about poisoning a blanket. What did they poison it with?
And how'd the guy hold it
Sizzle
and not
juice.
also get sizzled?
Pop rocks.
I guess he had
Don't put 'em on your
gloves
skin.
on. Yeah, fuck, bro.
I think like by the way, I am also talking specifically about the incredible, horrible Jake Gyllenhaal movie adaptation of The Prince of Persia.
Okay, I wasn't sure. Like,
this could be the same as the video game. I don't know.
I doubt it, because all those movies.
Have you seen the Prince of Persia movie?
No.
Let me tell you, it's fucking terrible, and I love it. I've seen it 100 times.
Hell yeah, that's good.
It's just the guy. One of the main characters is the guy who played friggin' Dr. Octopus in Spider-Man 2, and he's like a vaguely sinister merchant man who has a bodyguard who is he's just Bullseye from the Marvel comics, where he can hit anything so long as he's the one throwing it. And he just has throwing knives that he uses, and they always introduce it with the guy like Dr. Octopus, all sinister, going like, "Have you heard about the Umbaka?" And he gives the whole spiel of like their tribe and how he saved this guy. And I'm like, this is a wild thing that there's no way that this matters in the video game. There's no way that you have an ostrich racing merchant man who has a very dangerous bodyguard, and they don't fight at all. They're friendly even.
They just hang out?
Kind of. He buys and sells him as a slave, and they're just sort of friendly about the whole thing. I don't know anything about the Prince of Persia video game.
Yeah, I don't know.
But the movie is so bad, and I love it.
Best of the worst. No, but as far as like Dungeons and Dragons go, our current campaign there's been a bit of an escalation. So we've been adventuring in this land called Akarthia.
Elf Chernobyl.
Yeah, Elf Chernobyl, as we like to call it. Basically, elves kind of ran shit, and their whole civilization blew up, and we're trying. Our party is kind of like unraveling the mystery behind that by spelunking into the ruined lands of Akarthia.
And also making a bunch of alliances and betraying Dracoliches, and then openly reminding the Dracolich that not only are we still alive, this is where we'll be on this day, and you're invited.
Yeah, I would remind you guys, because I was thinking you would remember, and I kept asking, do you sign it with your names?
He really did.
You know,
I overtly said this thinking...
Do you know what we genuinely were all... How we interpreted that? As being like, I guess we're famous now.
Yeah.
All cool. Like, I bet they'll want our signatures on there. Really prove it's us.
I really
the
know
heroes.
that I didn't catch it because it's really out of character.
Your character is specifically the paranoid one.
He would be the one who would be like, "No, we're not doing that. That's stupid."
If this was like
I just went right over my head.
Yep.
Yeah, because that's also about where you left the other two rabbits, and I already had it in my mind. As soon as Yanis was thought dead or gone,
he would just move on to them.
He was just going to go down the line in the rabbits, and his thought was, instead of I just doing one at a time I'll just send two.
Right, I've lost two in a row doing the one at a time bit. Let's give him a partner.
Yeah.
It makes perfect sense. Anyway, recently we have one last magic sword to find. And we find out all this stuff about the magic sword and being the body of like
really rushing through MacGuffins.
An artificial god situation, and we rush to the thing and we find that the entire thing is like covered with undead. We don't think about that for a second. We're like, there are other undead. And then we meet up with one of the other rabbits and that red dragon that we like had trouble with before, and we're supposed to rescue Sergey?
Yeah, Sergey.
Yeah. And so we're supposed to help them rescue Sergey, and our plan is like to turn him.
Sergey being one of the two rabbits.
Yeah.
There was Ina and Sergey. They were a married couple.
Yeah. And we're trying to...
Are they married?
Mm-hmm, they were married.
Okay.
And we're trying...
Well, not too much, but...
Oh, uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Come on, spoil us.
What?
Huh?
I thought you was... Because they seem like they're married the way you've been playing
Like,
them.
did you say they were married in your original writing? Okay.
Because Sergey was Langley's majordomo, Ina was his wife, that's why she was along, and Yanis was the one that it was okay to die.
Yeah.
That was literally her job. Like,
Okay.
You're a useless
I was
bimbo,
thinking more
like-
of a friend situation, but it doesn't really change anything. Just
Yeah.
my brain thinking of them.
yeah,
That's
no,
fine.
they were a married couple.
Okay.
Anyway, we go down there to rescue Sergey, and there's like a bunch of fat demon guys. What are they called?
Demodans?
Demodans.
Yeah.
And using the powers of invisibility and shenanigans, we got their asses. There was like 3 or 4 of them.
4.
Yeah.
3 big ones. and
3
a
big
little
ones
guy.
in
and-
Robert's basement.
Yeah.
That was the gag I was going for.
Yeah. And we got them, and then we're ready to like check out this sarcophagus with that we put the swords into and everything. It's gonna happen. We're doing it, guys. We begin what turns out to be a wild misinterpretation of events.
Yeah, because so the whole time, one of our players, Zora, who's just Zora from One Piece, as we expanded in the previous episode,
Yeah.
his whole quest arc involved getting these 6 swords, and we had a plot hook of like, you can combine the 6 swords into one super really good godly sword that can do crazy shit.
Potentially even sever souls.
And so we're like, okay, base, we'll get the super magic sword,
Yeah,
of course.
hell yeah.
Duh. There was also a plot hook where Yanis, her people, the rabbits, are all basically on a hive mind Wi-Fi,
Yeah.
being the Dracolicus phylacteries.
Yeah,
So,
a whole race is his phylactery.
yeah, so
Pretty solid move.
yeah, conceivably, and you don't have to spoil us, obviously, Brody. Conceivably, yeah, he can just pop out of any one of the rabbits after he's dead.
Yeah.
And so my character Yanis is trying to be like the queen of these people. Needs to get rid of that ASAP. We gotta sever that. And apparently the sword could do that. Ho ho! So I have a stake in getting this sword.
Yep.
And so we get to this like sarcophagus, and we see the 6 little sword slots, and our dumbasses are like, well, obviously the
They
swords
go in the holes.
there. That's how we combine them into the God-slaying sword or whatever. And so I just tell, yeah, Zoro, go put him in there, man. Just do it. And he's not sure. He's unsure.
Yeah.
Do we do this? Do we not? And I'm like, like, there's like 6 holes.
There are
there's
6 holes,
swords.
each shaped exactly like each sword.
Okay.
What else would
Yeah.
we do?
Like, what else would you do? I've played video games before.
I have square blocks and round blocks, and those are square and round holes. I'm guns to put them in there. Mm-hmm. So we do that. The swords sort of lock in place and perhaps melt together, and the whole thing starts rocking and stuff. And we think, oh no.
It was rocking before.
It was rocking before we put in the swords, and once we put in the swords,
the second fit, because the demo dans are kind of pushovers. I was expecting them because they're kind of just big. Where you catch them on, they don't get to do all the demo dan
right?
trickery. Where they can like put people in bottles and summon more demo dans. I ignored that because it felt like it was just going to be more sloggy rather than fun.
Right.
And the twist was going to be
And then
the
the
sarcophagus
monster
explodes, and you fight the Ulamog stat block I found that I thought would be fun.
Brutal.
Anyway, we put all the swords in there instead of doing the fun boss fight. And according to the voice of God, one of us was destined to be like the body like that reconstitutes with this god. And you can just put him in the sarcophagus and it'll happen. The sarcophagus is closed at this point. It's important to mention that. Now at this point, the Dracolich just shows up.
Yeah, so what you guys did there, big theme of it that I came up on a like just whim. After the campaign, I thought how do I make this place look war-torn? Monsters are coming through. Well, there's portals or something. And I decided just, like, aspects of the outer planes crashed into just, like, started merging just into here. That's what's causing chaos, all the monsters to come in.
Right.
And the sarcophagus is part of the thing that caused this. And those swords would stabilize it. And my thinking, you would have to take it, study it for a while, consult, not just like a quick check in 30 seconds.
Yeah, so...
You would get that, and you guys just, put them in, and that stabilized the land, and those now are going away. Like, you cured the land. That's what you were going to be told after some studying.
That this is the way to turn off Chernobyl.
Yeah, and you could decide, but it's also going to... Because Inglorn Kemp, the... what is like Lichen Lich? Yeah, Lichen Lich was getting its special non-detection thing
It's
from
still...
the disjunction, the Arborea or whatever.
Yeah.
Place.
Okay, that
was powered through that.
That's why.
And since you guys healed the land, its magic waned, and you guys lost the non-detection. And Wagner, who has legions of has like other undead and stuff, just constantly scrying for what he wants.
Yeah. Why wouldn't he?
Just like the second that happened, they said, "Oh, we found him."
Yeah, and
like,
he showed up
Yeah.
pretty fast.
Even though he was gonna just show up because Sergei was just gonna touch the amulet he has and say, "They're here," and then
we
guys
knew
persuaded
it.
him.
It's a walkie-talkie.
You guys persuaded him to not. So it's like, okay,
So-
well, they're not gonna happen. Then you just
You know what I assumed happened? I assumed because... So when, like, we saved Sergei, he took out his little amulet, and then apparently he was going to walkie-talkie that shit. But I, with my incredible abilities with sleight of hand, just took that shit right out of his hand.
Yep.
And
with a little bit of distraction too.
Bless rogues.
I assumed that me grabbing that got rid of my non-detection. He can see me. Sauron sees you if you put on the ring.
Yeah, it was just breaking.
I feel much less bad.
You got it was gonna happen when you put the swords in. I had that written, and I don't like to go back on things.
Yeah.
Even if I don't explain it, even if narratively isn't as nice, I'm still gonna do it because it's just meant for and like it ended up being because you guys were going to be able to just avoid fighting him if you didn't put the swords in. You would have to fight the god thing or subdue it a different way, which
would have been a whole.
I think there was other things. I'd have to check my notes again. There are other conditions or whatever. But, likely I just wanted you to fight that because I wanted to play as Ulamog for a minute.
Yeah.
Which leads into the next series of events.
Yeah, so we are there, he is there, and he's like, okay, I think we can all agree, me being the Dracolich and you being the mortal group of people who walked here, he's guessing, judging from the fact that he blew up our ship, I guess. For some reason, we lost contact with our ship that was supposed to be flying outside. So he's there like, you guys are obviously beneath me. So what do you say you guys just work for me like the rest of the world's about to? And us, thinking quickly, fall into what I call Looney Tunes mode, where it became, okay, so we know if we put Dick in the sarcophagus, like he might incarnate as a god.
Yes, because the voice of God said my name, the Hippo Man, the most unlikeliest of chosen ones.
I thought we heard wrong. I was like, really? The space
Dick?
hippo? Like,
He's
the chosen one? Like, the fuck?
Importantly, my character is he's supposed to be very paranoid. So initially, it's like, I'm not getting in that fucking thing. Like,
one of my favorite
hell
bits
no.
about Dick Dixon is that he only eats good berries that he made.
Yeah. That's how paranoid this man is.
He doesn't trust anyone.
He did sign on to the invitation like everyone else.
He kind of trusts the party now, but
Yeah.
Old habits die hard.
And he calls my character the Easter Bunny.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're the new
He has like
Easter
a
Bunny.
40s detective accent. It's great.
Yeah, I love it.
It's kind of uncanny how this resembles what happened with Gizgul.
Yeah. Because
We're parties under threat by this horrible cosmic threat level enemy.
yeah, the kind of thing that you would really like to have a god on your side for.
And then we just kind of gamble and it works. Like,
Yeah, so clarity, what happened was, while he was there telling us, like, okay, you guys work for me now, thinking quickly in Looney Tunes mode, I began a distraction campaign of like, well, you're going to kill us anyway. Let me waste your time by looking through all of my old notes for things to ask you, including one thing I really did want to know. I wanted to know about the wine. I didn't want to have to wait for us to have to go kill Prim Mector and then he's about to die and then be like, wait, before you die, do you know what this wine is? I didn't want to have to do that. So I'm glad that like I could ask this ancient guy and distract him while in the background they're like doing as fast as they can diagnostics on how to get into this sarcophagus. And they have to like cast Identify so that they can learn the incantation to activate it. And that takes time. And I am just doing my best to distract them.
Yeah, this dwarf chef talking to basically fucking Dracula.
Yeah.
Dracula can transform into his undead dragon. Yeah, and he's just meandering. He's just going, he's talking about shit. At one point, he literally says, dude, fuck it, we're all dead anyway, so just humor me.
Yeah.
And he's like, alright.
Yeah, I was playing him like... He's been around for thousands of years. He's not an impatient, impulsive guy.
Yeah.
He couldn't be. You don't live that long.
It's a couple seconds. Like, it's fine.
Yeah. And it was fine until he finally was able to turn his attention on the sarcophagus, and instead of an empty sarcophagus with 6 swords in it, Dick flops out in the body of a god, and then he's like, all right, I guess we're fighting now. And that was where we stopped last time.
On a cliffhanger.
I decided to retcon it a bit.
Okay.
He's not out of it yet, but Wagner, he does see, like, the...
Right, that event is still mid-happening.
Yeah, the hippo impossibly fits into the sarcophagus.
I really love that.
And his reaction is more, why would you do that?
Yeah. Hey, you can't do that.
so, because him showing up was the thing that I was like, all right, well, I only see one solution to this. Like, I'm getting in the thing. Like, you know, and then I fully expected my character was going to die or like Dick was no longer going to be Dick.
Yeah. You were
exactly like how I thought it was going to go with Gizgul.
To bring us full circle, this means that this has happened twice now.
Yeah.
Where Mario is playing a character who's doing a funny voice to begin with also. A funny-voiced Big Guns character.
I didn't even think about that.
Which might just be Mario's default character.
That is literally what happened. What the fuck? He literally has a big gun. He has a blaster rifle.
Yeah.
Wow.
And now he's a god, or at least half of one. He's...
an avatar?
Yeah.
It's like, so part of this is because I realized I wanted to do something else with it, and I couldn't anymore. So I had to retool things enough to where there's the All God, the Ancient... there's actually a full name for it, which I need to send you now.
Right.
Like
you would know.
Big, long thing. That's like the ancient seed of the world. And then Amagala is like an anchor point for that power to be manifested, which just is like on the same power level as like D&D gods. So it's basically just like it's that essentially.
It's like an outsider, or
yeah, it's like basically it has.
He's an artificial god. This is tracking to me.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
Basically anchor using the metal. A lot of this is just like it's magic. It works.
Yeah.
Using the metal to anchor the ancient power, and then you channel that into a guy.
Right.
Yeah.
And they can essentially have, as long as they're in there, they can be a god.
Yeah.
But the astral elves, who were the villains all along, were put special protocols on it, so it has very strict, or I guess not astral elves themselves, but people working for them.
Right.
Has very strict restrictions to it, so they more or less control it, and its whole point is just to repress magic and advancement.
Yeah.
So they don't have to spend money on rebooting the world every so often.
You have any idea how hard it is to raise cavemen up to actually build the societies that you want for your space civilization to have a gas station? Takes forever.
Yeah, it's a cool plot hook that like, so Rob is playing a Gith Yankee, and if you're familiar with the Gith Yankee, they're fucking horrible.
I feel like having two people from space like wildly changed the campaign, but I've really liked
it. Did.
It
was originally written as here's the elves, and they just have their Fey barrier, and the gnomes are also Fey, so they're just like the lesser. They're servants. And so the gnomes just set up the fall to betray the elves. And it was just going to be like, oh, it's the gnomes were evil all along. And then he wanted to be a hippo because they can do guns. And Robert wanted to be a Gith Yankee. So I was like, all right, how does this work in Spelljammer now?
Yeah.
And it became...
became a lot of the goddamn fun.
There was still that whole like gnomish tension thing. It was just like... No, the elves are controlled by the extra elves.
Yeah, the space elves.
And because, we have two space people, it ended up to where we have a Spelljammer, because Rob, as a Gith Yankee, had the spell create Spelljamming Helm. And so I didn't think that was ever going to come up. I was genuinely
Why would it?
I was genuinely like, this is going to be mostly terrestrial. We don't do sea adventures or fucking sky. That's not a thing. We're just spelunking in dwarven ruins. I'm down. And then we go to the Underdark. And the last place you would ever think to find a fucking airship, literally underground in like subterranean caves, is an airship.
It's from the Mario's character crashing to the planet.
And it made sense. It was like narratively, it was a very cool concept. It accidentally teleported there, and obviously Underground's a bad place to be. It was a whole dungeon thing. We had a cool boss fight that they set up previously, because I knew the shoe was going to drop. That's my favorite part about that. Originally I thought, oh, he spared us so that we don't just get flattened right now. But no. This creature that has a second phase, we did the first phase, and the second phase didn't happen, and I was like, oh, he spared us. Oh, sorry, excuse me. No, he didn't spare us. The fight was coming later, and then it happened there, and I lost my shit. Anyway, we have a fucking a spaceship. But part of Mario's character being a god now is one of the protocols is that anyone making spaceships has to get swatted. And I thought that was super interesting. Like that's a cool narrative. Like you said, that's how the Astro Elves are just kind of like saving themselves labor. Like, I thought that was cool.
I really... So we have this guy, Krunt. Everyone knows the D&D phenomenon of adopting NPCs.
It happens all the time.
It happens essentially every campaign.
It's happened to every campaign I've DM'd.
And like it's just guns to happen. It's gonna. And one of them that we adopted was a Charon? Is that what it is?
Marinoloth.
Charon is like the boss of them. Marinoloth is the fiend.
Right. So there's a Marinoloth who just has like a raft that is like the river Styx, because of Elf Chernobyl, like winds through this land. So if you want to cross that, you kind of need like to pay him a toll, and he like gets you across.
And my favorite quirk about Krunt is that his intellect and his strength stats are reversed.
Yeah.
And his artwork is just, Brody drew a Marinoloth with like beefy anchor arms.
Yeah.
And he is the GOAT. I love Krunt.
Krunt's the best.
Empty head, no thoughts.
Importantly, Marinoloths, as with I think all demons, they're evil. They just are. Not like they're evil as in like, oh, they have they're a bad egg. No, like ethnically, like the kind of society that they have is incompatible with the kind of society that what a normal / good aligned thing would have. That makes them evil.
We're gonna have to go into how we prove this with Yanis' little adventure and me being way too trusting of his culture.
Yeah.
I genuinely thought there's no way something as innocuous as this is going to have consequences.
Yeah.
Brody's just being cute right now, and I'm totally down.
He wasn't.
Anyway, we'll get to that later. We'll get to that later.
So, yeah, he's a fiend, but, like, we're making friends with him, especially because we keep paying him, like, for his services to, like, travel on this river. And eventually, we, like, convince him to, like, abandon his duties. Almost entirely off the strength of, like, we're friends now, and Like I give him like some communist manifesto stuff of like, no man, like there's more to life than just doing your function for money. And I give him the sense of freedom and adventure. Like you can go other places. There's oceans. Like it's just water until land again, and the world is separated by them. And he loved it, and he became our friend. Unfortunately, doing things like going into the Underdark, we had to leave our friend behind. However, before that, while he is chauffeuring us, in order to travel on this river, it like dips in and out of the Nine Hells, right?
Yeah,
Or-
it doesn't like go into. It's supposed to be like a. I call them disjunction. I spell it with a Y because I feel fancy.
It's like where the planes intersect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it intersects and it's I think it's the second layer, the swampy mammon layer, and his citadel, which is supposed to be like always sinking. Instead, it's like rising because it's like the bottom of it coming up,
I like
sinking in
that.
through hell. Yeah.
Anyway, we have to pass through that, and when we stop, we kind of get told that like there's going to be a toll later, and some of us think, well, let's start hiding. We don't need to bother with dealing with this demon city.
And keep in mind, at this point, my character Yanis is still lawful evil. So my character Prince Langley, so the evil Draco Lich we keep mentioning, though, that's basically the BBEG, did not start out as the BBEG at all.
He wasn't going to.
He was just my character's patron. That was the
It was like
simple
pretty
as
friendly
that.
to you guys.
Yeah, simple as that. I like lawful evil is a fun restriction because it lets you get to be like edgy and like Dark Lord kind of stuff. But you have like we live in a society.
Yeah.
You just can't go around murdering people. That's stupid. But like if I can get something out of it, if I can be self-centered, my character's going to do that. And so Yanis inherited that mantle. She is also lawful evil.
Yeah.
So like we have literally Will's character is named Clarence Goodman.
He's a good man.
We're going into the second layer of hell, and we get to the dock, and yeah, literally everyone's like, "I'm not going out into hell. What are you, stupid?"
Yeah.
And Yanis is like, "Well, I mean, I gotta go take a look."
I mean, like, you were really like, they have food stalls and, like, games.
He said the falafel was good! He said the falafel was good!
Yeah,
and
so
Krunt was our boy!
Krunt is our boy, and he's like, well, the falafel's really good.
And I was totally down to go get the falafel. Brody would do some cute
We
shit,
have
like a
not at
falafel
this
stand.
point let the other shoe drop on what Krunt means by food being good. You see, we find out later, notably after the consequences of all of this, that he's a fiend and therefore does not have any of the organs or like body like structures to be eating necessarily like people. He just sort of mashes it around in his mouth and he's like, "Now that was good."
Yeah, no tongue either.
Yeah, So what does he mean by good? It's not the same thing that you mean by good, where you eat and swallow it. So she goes out, she gets some falafel, buys some slaves. Turns out we needed those for the toll. We all agreed to quietly lie to those who would be morally objected to that.
Yeah, like Clarence, like he just had to be.
He couldn't know about it. Yeah.
A
Just-
thing.
The token
Those-
evil character.
No, those slaves were followers of Helm from his church.
Yeah.
Oh man.
A lot of them.
Oh
bad.
They
man.
were saying prayers to Helm.
Oh
If he had
man.
gone up, he would recognize most of the faces.
Oh man, that's dark.
Yeah.
Good
I was
thing he
really
didn't
hoping
come up.
someone
Man.
would try, but it didn't come up.
Good thing he didn't come up. That's all I gotta
We
say.
would have had to have fought and saved them. That would have been
Yeah.
a whole thing.
It would have been a cool fight.
It would have been a cool fight.
So naturally, I sat on him and just put my hands over his ears.
Yeah.
But Yanis, as an aspiring Dark Lord, wanted to look cool in hell, so she was like doing bravado, sizing people up. Like, yeah, I'm the slave dog, so I'm gonna
Yeah.
go buy some sacrifices.
Buy
Like,
some slaves,
Yeah, I'm
eat
kind
some
of a hard-
falafel,
I'm kind of a badass.
and then we get to the toll booth to leave the area of hell and get back into like regular elf Chernobyl, and we're like, yeah, I think we're ready to leave. This was a fun day. And then Yanis drops dead instantaneously.
That
Yeah.
is a actual rule in there for Mammon's layer effects or regional effects. If you eat food, it's like you end up dying in like 24 hours, and I just said
It's like a DC something
instead
chart.
if you
Yeah.
leave the area after eating, you die, which
Right.
goes along with like the
Yeah.
the
You
traditional mythology of like you don't eat food in the spirit realm.
And it's
or
also
hell or
important on the
whatever.
docks. There were several other things that, like temptation, where it's like, oh, you can eat all you want to or whatever, but it's
Yeah.
like cursed. Like everything was cursed or fucked, And so, like, there were so many things of, like, oh, if you do this, it's going to have a consequence. And I was like, nope, not doing it. Obviously, it's, obviously I shouldn't do any of these things. But so, like, I just assumed, well, it's falafel. Like
he said it was good.
Like, what's the cursed falafel going to do? Give me a bad tummy ache? Yeah, a tummy ache that kills you.
Fatal.
A fatal one. Yeah.
And then we had to bring you back from... What was the little tiny demon thing?
Lemure?
Yeah.
Is that is that how you say it?
It doesn't matter.
A lemur?
Yeah, lemur.
little soul slug.
Yeah. We had to go rescue that, and then Krunt was like, yeah, that's crazy. And we're like, did you not know this would happen? And he's like, no, I don't. Why would I?
Yeah.
And we find out pretty much at this point, one, he doesn't eat like us, but two, his entire life, his entire existence has been like he sprang into life fully of knowledge of I am ferryman on river Styx. And that's all he's ever known. So we've had to like fill in some gaps for him regarding knowledge because it doesn't matter how much of that shit he eats. One, he can't swallow it, so I bet it doesn't count as eating it. And two, I don't think, like, as a fiend, he has a soul to take. Does he?
Sort of. Yeah, it's not like a mortal soul, but
it's my understanding lemures are turned into them. Basically, they take that soul flesh and then mold it into something else.
I think technically they could be, but it just doesn't apply to it. Marinloths get a lot of exception being the River Styx people.
Yeah. Well, we find that out from him. We go on many adventures, and then eventually we have to leave our boy Krunt behind. We have to leave him behind because we have to go into the Underdark. But before that, we have to make a stop by Copperton to completely fuck everything up.
You leave him behind because there's a barrier on the Living Forest, which is the disjunction with Arborea.
Yeah.
You're supposed to find the Rat Man or the Fey creature. Is what
From
I kept saying.
Yannish's quest, yeah.
Yeah. And he just couldn't enter because he's a fiend.
Yeah.
And so I gave you guys a solution for, like, other people entering with Nystul's mystical aura. Mm-hmm. And, he still didn't do it on Krunt. I was like, okay. Yeah, he just sits there.
Yeah. And after a while, he wandered off. He went to go check out the ocean that he'd heard so much about. He was very excited about it.
He found another river. Which was
right,
found
the
River Oceanus.
The heaven one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't go through all of the planes. It goes through, like, 4 or 5 of them.
He's just going off on his little side adventure. We fuck shit up for a while. Completely fuck up Copperton. Just ruin it.
Yeah.
There's a kaiju battle there. And
big X on the map.
Big ol' X on the map. That was very funny. And then we get our spaceship. And we think, who would be really good at piloting this? Our boy whose only job in this world is piloting boats.
Yeah.
Krunt. And we get him to like Gurren Lagann together with the Spelljammer. And now he controls the Spelljammer. The Spelljamming helm used to be the It from South Park because that's what Rob, as a Gith Yankee, wanted it to be.
The reason for it says the spell components is a crystal rod. And
that was it.
It doesn't explain, and it says you put the rod into the seat.
Yeah.
And that's into a chair on the boat, and that becomes your Spelljammer helm. But like,
where and how?
Yeah.
What's the interaction? Yeah.
When you say put a rod into the chair,
yeah.
What do you mean?
And then you sit down on that rod.
That's the conclusion we
came to.
I think it's the logical conclusion. If you say it's a chair and a rod, you put the rod in, now it's a helm. If there's the only difference in that chair is you put a rod in.
The only components in this are yourself, a chair, and a cylinder. You may do with it as you please, and then they just close the door behind you. Whatever happens in there, we're in a spaceship now. That's all that matters. So we get Krunt to Gurren Lagann into this thing, combine his powers into it, and he now controls it. Instead of it being the It, we have like a shallow little pool in like the area that he's like helming from, that he now has his own raft that floats in with his oar that he has, and by paddling his raft in the boat, controls the boat.
That's all he understands.
It's so good.
I love that. I had no notes. I couldn't have improved that in any way.
It reminds me of...
The ship is also fused with a sentient tree.
A tree that has a Golthius tree that has awakening on it, right?
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of things. I just kept mashing concepts because the spell Awaken is really cool. It's like a 5th level druid spell. It lasts 30 days. You choose like an animal or a plant, like a shrub or a tree, and it becomes sentient.
It's a guy.
And it's charmed by you for 30 days. So it just thinks highly of you. And then the 30 days ends, and it can decide then, like, oh, do I still like him or not? But importantly, it gains an intelligence of 10, which is about
Average
that of
human
that's a
intelligence.
human.
Yeah.
Right.
Forever. That doesn't end when the spell ends, just the charm. It is a person now.
Right. You elevated it to personhood.
And that's
And
on you.
In this forest that has this fey creature in it, he has an army of trees.
You awakened all
trees. And they have character levels. So there's like trees that are wizards. And they just, I imagine, have like a hat on one of their branches. And there are trees that are warriors. And they just have like a sword and a shield near their roots.
Yeah, it doesn't explain really how they move. Or like how, because when you look at the Awakened tree art, it's just a tree.
Right.
The token is just a tree.
It's because that's what it is.
So my assumption, I like to think, you just don't get to see them move. Like, it's just a tree, and in the game, it's over here now. It's moving with no indication that it's moving.
It's like Plank from...
He's in a different frame, he's in a different spot, yeah.
God.
Or a different shot, yeah.
Which... I hope Krunt's okay. I'll be real sad if he's not.
Yeah. So,
And the ship.
While we were in there
Really
dealing with the
attached to the
sarcophagus, we got like a call from him, and it started breaking up staticky style, and we're like telepathically linked, so that shouldn't be happening. And then we got cut off entirely, and I think there was a boom.
No, it just got cut off.
Just cut off?
Just static.
Hopefully he's fine.
Yeah.
Krunt is goated. I enjoy our Marinol off.
You guys made like one of the largest game decisions.
Just being a boy with...
We decided he's a main character.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like...
He also, like, changed, like, on a soul level, the kind of being that he is a little bit, because he experienced friendship.
There's something you did, I can't remember, but it was just, if he helps you guys altruistically, he was just gonna die.
Yeah.
Because he's not... Fiends, specifically the Yugoloth type fiends, are just evil for evil's sake. They're pure evil, and I interpret that as like ethnically evil.
Right.
They're like kind of like the organ. They keep the fiend realms functioning.
Right, because they're really more of part of the realm than being a person.
Yeah, like they exist because of evil, and his existence doing a nice thing for his buddies was going to destroy him. And I think it was like Nistel's mystic aura you put on him changed him just enough that it happened. But he was just gonna die. You guys were gonna kill him.
I remember. I think I called
that
this
would make
out
me
too.
so sad.
It's like he's gonna negate himself. He's being too cool.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to be cool when you're evil.
Yeah. He was gonna die from being friends and make everyone sad.
If the power of friendship killed Krunt, that'd be one of the most anime things that ever
so
happened
sad.
in D&D. It would be super sad, it'd be tragic.
I mean, technically, if he dies helping us now, the power of friendship is what killed him.
Damn.
Because he certainly wouldn't be here. He already told us, like, oh, if like I wasn't helping you guys, I would either be checking out the ocean. Have you seen it? It's incredible. Or I'd be in outer space or something. Like he'd be off doing his own thing. Maybe not outer space. I think he'd probably want to stay in like the terrestrial planes. But that's just me. But like he absolutely was like, I'd do other things if I wasn't helping you guys. So if he dies helping us, it was friendship what killed him.
I hope not.
I'm a real bummer at
and
parties.
he's fused with the ship, and he's seen all of the hippo people's logs and stuff about other worlds.
Yeah, he's had his mind opened. He started his year, because we've been playing like in game for like a year, only knowing about this river and accepting coins that he has no use for in exchange, like for taking people across. He didn't have any concept of money. Like he asks us for money because like that's what he's programmed to do, and then we're like, So what do you spend it on? And he's like, that's not important, as he just puts it into the bag. The bag might as well have a hole in the bottom of it for all he gives a
You'll
shit.
spend it at Mammon's palace for...
On the falafel.
Yeah.
To mash things in his empty jaw.
The gag I did was he just hands the entire
Yeah.
coin purse. Like, he doesn't know what's in there.
Yeah, he has no concept of it. And, like, from that level of, like, experience and intellect, we're like, okay, real talk, there's multiple planes of existence. In those planes of existence, there are multiple planets. And on those planets, there are different races, each of which have their own culture. These are two of them. And then also, we want to teach you about friendship. And how cool it can be to go on an adventure. He's been on a wild ride. It'd be a good death if he dies from friendship.
Speaking of culture, I always had Nebulous in my head, but the fucking Isles of Codrum and the Ebon Keep in which the Brabant people hail from has just kind of like evolved into being just the worst place ever.
Yeah.
Like everything's made out of bones, and like there's just a bunch of bunnies that live there, and they come from broods, and it's just horrible and oppressive and terrible.
They're bred to just keep the race alive because they need to be a phylactery.
Yeah, like
and their worship powers fuel the Dragon Man.
Their home is constantly under siege by all the other fucking beastmen because get rid of the evil bunnies. Like they're terrible.
It's not that as much as Isles of Codrum are just... It's a green dragon. He likes that they fight to get the strongest, and he gave specific providence for his cousin dragon to just take that little bit, but also he's a green dragon, just kind of like, yeah, also go just fight them. Like, mess with that dragon's stuff, because it's fun.
There you go. And then, and so... They do the wall of bodies tactics because they breed like rabbits. There's always more of them. So they're basically Skaven. The goal was to make like different Skaven, and I love how they've just come out. And so now that
you can say it, cute Skaven.
They're kawaii Skaven.
Yeah.
And
that's the secret sauce in a lot of Tony's.
Oh yeah, that's Big Tony all over it. Like now that Wagner has basically evolved into becoming the BBEG of it, well, one of the BBEGs.
Yeah.
We're just constantly encountering like the undead faction from Warcraft 3, but all their necromancers and stuff are just bunnies.
I feel like we have 3 BBEGs set up to be like of incrementally greater strength, but they're all pretty close in power, where it's like we have this guy who's at least the strongest regular guy on this planet. And then like that'd be Wagner. And then right above that, we have Primector, who's a really like strong as Wagner, but also is from space. So he probably has at least one extra thing. And then above that is the guys who make everyone look like pussies, which is the space elves. And I feel like this is a great like level of exponential threat.
It was, well, 2 of them weren't necessarily the gnome, because it was the original plan for the gnomes to be bad.
Right.
Just now decided that the leader there was from space.
Right.
Wagner wasn't really supposed to be an antagonist.
Right.
He was just supposed to kind of be and just give you some quests and then give you some cool stuff.
Yeah.
Part of how he became the antagonist is that he gave Yanis a quest to go find the Fabian, like we were talking about. We end up going to this enchanted forest. We find the Lycan Lich down there, who was one of my previous characters from a previous campaign. Great throwback. And yeah, he basically like, Yanis, let me tell you the truth of your people. And we give him the whole spiel. And Brody tells us after the whole thing that like, he fully expected us to walk in there and be like, shut up, nerd, and just murk his ass.
Black,
and
just
just do Wagner's bidding mindlessly. But like, I heard, but I was so blown away that it was like a character from a previous campaign. I was like, of course I'm gonna hear my homie out. And so we hear him out, and he's like, "Oh, you're a phylactery, Yanis, and you're being used." And I was like, "Oh, I'm supposed to be a queen. I don't like being used. I'm the one who uses." And so that was the rationale I had for being like, "Okay, well, fuck this guy."
That's very funny that this is what happened, because my read of the situation was, "Oh, Brody's telling us now we can accept the quest to kill Wagner."
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah,
that was my read.
Exactly, that's how I read it too. Yeah,
I mean, it's like,
this is my way out of
my redemption. I try not to like really put like quest or like here's the thing, here's the solution, or here's the thing with us. It's just, here's a thing.
Mm.
How do you
Like,
handle
that's like the river. Here's a river. What do you do?
Drown almost.
A lot of us
The
almost
river-
die. That's what
the
happens.
river is still one of my favorite encounters of all time. Was just that trying to cross a raging river at level 2 was one of the hardest things I've done in D&D.
I was
and
so
loved
mad that our druid almost drowns, and we have to dredge them out of the water. We have almost like lost the ability to complete this, and then he's like, "Well, I guess I could turn into some kind of animal.
Yeah.
You could just solve this problem. You could have a swim speed, a fly speed, a climb speed, any of those things, and we could solve this." And he's like, "Yeah, but I'm like a bird guy, so he's just sort of not proactive with this solving this problem specifically." I really like playing with Riley. He's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And just okay, we're going to shoot the rope over there. You're going to turn into a snake. And you're going to turn into a snake because the way that they cross vines and stuff is by coiling circularly around it. There's no possible way for you to fail this. If you have a climb speed, you still have to make the dex check, but your body is entirely wrapped around the rope. The only way for you to fail this is like catastrophic, like outside consequences. Just turn into a snake and climb across. Once you're across, tie the rope. And it all went super easily, and then half of us are recovering from drowning. And we just finally get across this river. The river, the mountain, all of these little... How do you do it? Not letting us be like, we crossed that river. Just staring us in the face like, go on then. How do you do it? It has produced great results.
Yeah, going down a sheer cliff and crossing a river is two of the most challenging encounters I've ever encountered.
Yeah, I think it's important at the low levels to set that, like, because
you can't fly across. How do you do it?
It's not a video game, and I feel like video games give you like, here's the problem, and you can only put in so many solutions.
Yeah. You have to program them.
Like, that takes a lot of time. You lean into the tabletop bonus of, here's a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's...
I don't care how you do it. Just give me a good enough reason.
One of the best...
Serendipity, the Hippo Man, was unfazed by either of these challenges somehow.
Yeah. Through it.
Good old swim speed having ass. And a climb speed for some reason?
Gloomstalker.
Oh, Gloomstalker, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ranger gets...
Based.
Can just do that.
Yeah.
Morgana has become one of my absolute favorite characters from Shenanigans.
I was really excited about the pun for Brotherhood.
It's
spelled exactly the same.
It's spelled exactly the same as Brotherhood. And I really love the idea of like, it's the mafia, but like they work through like food and stuff. Like petty crime is already like terrible in every kitchen, much less like all of the drugs and everything that move through like restaurants and shit to begin with. Just adding the level of like, that's how this criminal organization operates everything. And like, this is still fantasy medieval times. There are guys who are like, their job is to cook for kings. And like, they're just like a highly sought after chef. Fucking boxers have protectorates run around them, and those guys' job is to do violence. Of course there's going to be like a protectorate around these elite chefs that's just a criminal like organization. I love it. Big fan. You guys...
Good content.
I love D&D. It's a lot of fun.
If you weren't a chef and a rogue, I probably would have just done something generic, but the pun came to me. And it's like, this is the whole thing.
But going back to, how to solve problems in D&D, I guess one of the best bits of advice I would give to people trying to DM is that, you should take inspiration from movies, books, and video games, but remember that D&D is not a book, it is not a movie, and it is not a video game. So how you choose to write your story, because it is its own vehicle, role-playing is its own vehicle, you need to respect the rules within that vehicle, and you'll have a much better experience if you don't try to railroad things or make very finite solutions. Like, there shouldn't be a solution to a problem.
Your players
There
shouldn't
should
be finding your solution. They should be finding their
yeah,
solution.
yeah. There is a problem. Okay, how do you want to solve this?
Yeah.
Like, you need to come bring me. Yeah. That is. You're going to have a lot much more fun, and a lot much more robust campaigns if you don't make it. Okay, I need the key to enter the door. It needs to be okay. Well, how do we get past this door?
And importantly, if someone comes up with a good enough idea, there's rules stating the opposite. You absolutely should just be like, that's what I came up with all along. I'm the greatest and smartest man in the universe.
That has happened in this campaign several times, and I won't say what things, but there's been things I've written, and then I think mostly Kevin, sometimes like Mario or Robert will just say, oh, I think it has to be this thing, and I think,
that's not so bad. Yeah.
How'd you guys get it?
Yeah.
That's crazy. You guys are so smart.
I love those moments. Because Kevin does it all the time. He's like, well, obviously it's this thing. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, it is obviously that thing.
I have a problem where I don't turn off writer brain. And whenever I'm watching something, I'm engaging with it both as like an audience member and as what would I write this to be? Like, why are they telling me this? They must be setting up this. If-then statements of like the reason for everything. And that is... an insane thing to do. You shouldn't do that. It makes watching things significantly less fun if you...
dissect it?
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's an industry thing, yeah.
It is a fun thing to do on different things.
Yeah.
However, it will also lead to you being like, I have solved your mystery, DM. And they're like, what the fuck are you talking about?
What mystery? Some things are not even mysteries, and then they get turned into ones, and yeah, it's a mystery now. This is a plot-relevant part.
It's a consistent thing, actually, that I've been doing. Now that I think about it, so many, many years ago, when Nick, actually, your brother, ran his campaign, like, we did, 3 sessions or something. We did a couple sessions of that. That was where we got corn goleming. That's right. He, set out, the laws of this setting and, points out, okay, and this deity is missing, and the lover of that deity is, the god of justice, and you're all, in a Suicide Squad situation where he's making you go on a quest, and, he gives us all these little details, and I didn't find this out till after we were basically done, that he didn't have any, answers ready. He was just sort of yeah, just, you guys go do stuff. Go do stuff. And I cornered him and I'm like, I think I figured out your plot. And I laid out my thing of actually he's not trying to get us to solve this. He's trying to get us to find the missing pieces of this other god so that he can put his wife back together. And technically speaking, I came at him with strong arguments backed by evidence, and he's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Good times.
It's a good way to have fun, but it's a terrible way to watch a movie. Leads to Megalopolis.
Yeah, it is.
Man.
DMing, it's one of the most fun things to get. Just to get almost an hour of the campaign you have planned is just people talking about what you wrote.
Yeah.
And it's they're just kind of playing and oh, look at them go.
Yeah, I love that moment of they're just deliberating and it's oh yeah.
I've been having a lot of fun, specifically. So historically, as a group, we are not necessarily the strongest role players. In that we don't all do voices for our characters all the time, like Mario does, and there are times where we just okay, this is what I mean to say, and then we just say that to the DM. That is both in Brody's campaign, my campaign, Tony's, all of it. It's just a thing that we do. And I've been really trying to throw myself into no, this is Morgani in this situation. And it's made me much more ADHD and distracting in one regard. But I think it's been a lot of fun. This has been...
I'm consistently surprised by the piecing together of these random things. And then I think,
it's all connected.
I guess that works. You put in a lot of mental effort. I'm not saying no, roll some dice. And we'll figure it out. And then you consistently roll good whenever, it feels like the more effort you put into it, you just roll higher, naturally. And it's yeah, I can't say no to 25 on whatever you roll. It happens.
I feel like Kevin has the blessing of a trickster deity.
Yeah. So just saying like, oh, there are sometimes things that you say and then like I take it into like account, which we all do, but a little bit, I feel like I win there. Like, so I'd say that's like a trickster deity thing where it's like, you know what? Yeah, you are right.
Yeah.
I appreciate you let me do dumb things, Brody.
Oh yeah.
Like make a space hippo detective ranger man.
I think it's more fun to just see what people want to do and then just like, yeah, we'll figure it out. It'll work.
It's also every time you've been like, why is this fucking hippo like invisible and the stealthiest? Like,
Yeah.
Every time I've gotten one of those.
Is it a Gloomstalker
like,
thing or a gift thing that you're invisible?
Gloomstalker.
Okay. Yeah. Because everyone else, even the rogue, we're just regular. Like, we're people that you can see in darkness. Like, even hiding, like, we can be seen. But the guy who is... I think, like, your pug is unironically, like, the hippopotamus from Harvey Birdman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, he's like a 6 foot tall...
Peter-potamus.
6 feet around Peter-potamus with a laser rifle. And he is head and shoulders the most, like, stealthy until, like, last session. Because I got a ring of invisibility, and now I'm unstoppable. Except I think Wagner has devil sight because he saw my ass.
Closing up all the side missions to I kind of want to be done with it, but also we put like so many random encounters have now become mainline. This is important, and it's the most unique campaign I think I've done in that aspect, where just random things and random player ideas have shaped this into like an actual pretty neat world and story.
I
that
thought
would
so.
not exist otherwise. I could not write this stuff.
It's in fact so. You know, I will cease this intent if this is not something I should do. But it is in fact so good. I would like to write a work of fiction based around it. The escalation, the entire thing. It seems like it was. It feels like it was planned. Obviously, you said it's not, but like the story beats are just so good and like solid.
And yet, so many of them are just random encounters.
Specifically, another one that like...
Krunt was a random encounter.
Yeah, Krunt was a random encounter.
You were going to encounter... Whenever you get to the river, it was just he was going to start floating, because that's what happens.
Right.
The ferryman floats down the river.
And then he offers you, and you pay him 2 gold or something.
And he's thinking you want to go down the river, because he's not used to talking to mortals. He's like, oh, you're dead. You want to go down the river Styx to the afterlife.
And... The Red Dragon, also.
Yeah, the Red Dragon coming back, but the one that blew my mind, like a loose end that was tied up. We had a whole thing. It was basically a bit, wasn't never fully established, that Yanis had a thing for Langley, but he's dead. And then there was a point where I had a body pillow commissioned by some dwarves. It was a whole bit. It was a whole gag. So that was an ongoing show. And I had mentioned
she has the limited edition Kim Jong-un body pillow.
Yeah. It's really fucking good. But yeah, no, so... But we had established that like one of her goals was if I can get enough money, I'm going to resurrect him, and that way we can be king and queen. And we go to fight Wagner, and there's a whole bunch of these fucking undead outside, obviously his minions, and then Prince Langley shambles on in. Dun dun dun!
Yeah.
That another just like this is great. This is awesome.
As a revenant, as
a revenant, he's gonna fuck our shit up.
It's gonna be great.
But yeah, no, I definitely want to take a lot of these story beats because Prince Langley is actually a character that is going to be featured in the work of fiction I'm working on for Kael'din, and I wanted to do a standalone story about his little arc about how he becomes like the next big bad kind of character, and I want to use this campaign basically as like a basis for that story. A lot of the story beats, like how I wrote those characters and stuff, all had that in mind of using it for this later.
If I were, as like from a writing perspective, to like dissect which areas of our campaign or like where the story beats would exist, like the first act or first book, whatever, would be from start to like right before the destruction of Copperton.
Really?
When we betray Wagner and say like, okay, we're not going to do that, that would be like the first part. And then immediately we fuck that up and have to run into the Underdark.
Yeah.
The end of second part would be, obviously, the airship battle. against the
Yeah,
tower.
you're right. Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
And then we're now in the final part since then.
Because I was
That's
thinking,
the vibe.
Yeah, because I would say the death of Prince Langley would be a big plot point because shifting the units. Because I was thinking that would be the end.
That
of
would
act,
actually
that would
be a better
the
part
end
for
of
part 1.
Yeah, end of Act 1 would be the Balrog.
Yeah.
Because that was just sick nasty.
And then the end
of
of part 2 would be the destruction of Copperton.
Yeah. And then we get our airship, and then have sick nasty airship battles, and then
that would be 3, and then 4 would be where we If we're to
3 would be just be high octane because it would be action. Yeah, not a lot of pussyfooting around. We're having airship battles and dragon fights, and
we probably brought this up last time, but I'm going to bring it up again because I really like it. The way that you constructed the campaign conceptually is we go into Akarthia, and then there's a hex map, and then like we roll on the random encounter table while we're getting between areas that we have our like actual quests and like dungeons and like things to actually like see. While we're on the road in Akarthia, it's Elf Chernobyl. Anything can fucking happen. And then from that, we gained so much stuff, and then it took so long to get anything done. And then now we got the Spelljammer, and we essentially unlocked fast travel in our game.
You were gonna have that before, if you just actually went to the cities and got their teleportation circles.
Yeah, we lost track of that.
Yeah. That was like the kind of concept, is slowly conquering each little place.
Yeah.
And instead you just meandered for a while until you just had all the levels and just got the boat.
I feel like, at the very least, we engaged in some pretty good questing. Just not a lot of good map conquering. Where we actually like go and check out this area that you've designed and getting the sigil so that we can open up the teleportation circle. No, we waited till we could just fly over there and just activate it.
Yeah.
Not on purpose, but I mean that means you could conceivably you could run all of this again and it would be wildly different.
Yeah,
that's
I don't
the best
know
kind of modules.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd want to. I don't know. I have to see. I might either need a break from D&D or something.
Yeah.
If I do another campaign after this.
And with that, we're going to end tonight's episode. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed the nature of this content, go ahead and give us a like and subscribe on YouTube. You can give me a follow on Blue Sky, and you can support us on our Patreon. With that, have a good night.
Have a good night, everybody.